So you want to build a raised garden bed, but you've heard that you shouldn't build one using pressure treated lumber. Well, today I'm going to share with you why I chose to build one out of pressure treated lumber and how much it costs, and tell you my thought process while building this whole thing so it can be easier for you. When you start planning your raised garden bed, remember that the size of it is very important. And that means making sure that your raised garden bed width is about 4 feet and no bigger, because the average person's reach is about 3 feet. And by the time you lean over any, it'll give you that 4-foot reach that you need. Having said that, I did find that there is a cheat code to building this raised garden bed, and that is just going up to Lowe's or Home Depot and telling them the dimensions you want your boards cut. Now, I will say that the only thing they won't cut is the 4x4s, but the 2x8s, they definitely will. And that reminds me that I never really told you exactly what you needed for this project, so here we go. You only need one treated 4x4 because it can be cut into equal parts, and 4 pieces is all you need. So cut your 2x4 whatever height you would want it, but I did mine about 2 feet, mainly because, again, I have chickens. I also got 2x8s by 8-foot long boards because they're the easiest boards just to go ahead and cut in half when you're making your raised garden bed. So it's as easy as telling Lowe's or Home Depot to just go ahead and cut those boards in half, because you'll need to cut 3 in half for sure in order to make this raised garden bed. So technically you only need about 9 2x8s by 8s. And if you were lucky enough to get Lowe's or Home Depot to go ahead and cut your boards, then all you gotta do is come home and put this thing together. And I know you're still wondering why in the world I would be okay using pressure treated wood. And it really comes down to 2 things. It comes down to how long I want this raised garden bed to last, and also it's the most cost efficient way to building a raised garden bed. And I also am using 3-inch decking screws in order to screw these boards in. But you might also find this one problem. You may have to push on the boards in order to fill in the gaps, because some boards just aren't straight. And I am doing at least 2 screws on each board. And honestly, the hardest part about all this is doing this all by yourself. And I promise you it'd be a whole lot easier with 2 people, but it is doable with only 1 person, because it is heavy as soon as you get all the pieces connected for one side. I did lean the side of the raised garden bed up against my fence in order for me to connect 2 sides together with the board that was cut in half. And if you do this, just know that the actual side of the raised garden bed is actually leaned at about a 45-degree angle, which also means that you have to place the short board at an angle when connecting it. Otherwise, it won't be square. So what I actually did was try to go ahead and only put 1 screw in, and then slowly try to square it up while trying to connect the other side to the small board. Now, I don't think it's necessary in order to pick up the other side of the raised garden bed, but apparently I did at this point in time. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why in the world would I build things with pressure treated wood? Now, don't they contain chemicals that is harmful to you? And is it possible that it harms your plants? Or even better, leach into the food that you're actually eating from it? Well, I'm here to tell you that pressure-treated wood did contain arsenic a long time ago. As a matter of fact, they changed the whole pressure-treating process back about the early 2000s. And by doing this, they got rid of arsenic and actually pressure-treat this stuff with a lot safer alternatives. It's treated today with copper-based chemicals. And wouldn't you know that the treatments have significantly reduced the environmental and health risks associated with using pressure-treated wood. Now, another main reason I'm actually using pressure-treated wood instead of anything else is actually because I'm concerned about the longevity of my raised garden bed. I know tons of gardeners that heard the exact same thing as you, as pressure-treated wood is bad, so they went the cedar route. And I've also heard those same people say they had to switch their cedar beds to pressure-treated boards because within 12 to 18 months, their cedar boards were already rotting out. So really the only downside to using pressure-treated boards is this. If you want to have a certified organic garden, then the only way you can have that possible is if you have things in a cedar bed. And to be honest, I'm not too sure that metal beds also are included in your organic gardening or not. I just know that if you use pressure-treated wood, your garden is not considered organic anymore. But the good thing is I only have this one pressure-treated raised garden bed, and everything else is pretty much in the ground. Or you may have seen it in those large containers of mine. But I don't claim that anything's organic. The only thing that I know is organic is my plants that I sell online. So if you didn't already know, we ship plants straight to your door. So everything you see in all my videos, well, it can all be shipped straight to you, and we can grow things together. To finish the rest of this raised garden bed, we're just connecting the half pieces that were already cut to the sides. Each board is screwed in place to the 4x4s that are inside the raised garden bed. So now that you got the raised garden bed pretty much built, it's time to go ahead and start setting this thing up and filling it up this time of the year. And I will tell you later why it is the most important time of the year to do this, but first you need to line the raised garden bed with cardboard boxes. Now, not sure that you've ever known this or not, but if you just randomly lay cardboard boxes on your grass, everything underneath it will not survive. So if you got some plants or something growing in your yard that you really want to go away, I highly recommend just laying cardboard boxes over it, and in a few weeks, your problem's solved. Some people will lay cardboard boxes over the area that they're going to grow stuff in the ground and then come back in a few weeks and start tilling it up. Or they won't bother tilling things up because nothing's living there in the first place and plant things straight into the ground there. So the main thing about this whole setup is making sure that the entire grass is covered with cardboard boxes. That way, everything under it will not survive as well, and it will help you make sure that weeds don't pop up in your raised garden bed in the future. Now, if you're wondering why this is the best time of the year to build a raised garden bed, it's literally because everything is on the ground now that you can put in your raised garden bed to help fill this thing up. And in the end, it's going to save you a lot of money instead of filling this thing up straight with dirt. So go ahead and fill up half of your raised garden bed with all the sticks and leaves that are already on the ground this time of the year. And what's going to happen is when you go to add all your dirt on the top layer, all that stuff will be pushed down and eventually settle to the very bottom. So don't be afraid to fill this thing up with literally everything that you have right in your backyard. And yes, that includes wood ash and a lot of other things. And before any of you say, hey, your soil is going to be very acidic, just know, again, this is the reason why it is the perfect time of the year to build you a raised garden bed, because it allows about 90 days in order for all those nutrients to start settling down. So you're least likely to burn your plants up after all. So if you're wondering how much this whole raised garden bed costs, I can tell you this. It costs about $115, and honestly, it would be a lot less if I didn't have it 2 feet tall. And also, it doesn't include any soil mixtures that I might have added in here. And we also added chicken manure to our raised garden bed because it's just easier to recycle everything. And to finish off the top layer of your raised garden bed, you do need the right soil mixture, especially if you're trying to grow some fruit in them. So we always use equal parts black cow, equal parts peat moss, and equal parts pine bark mulch. And now we just wait till springtime to plant whatever we want.